Today I'm going to be making monster butterscotch cookies. And I'm actually doubling this recipe, and then I'm going to freeze some of my dough balls so I can pull them out when we want some of these cookies. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the first thing we're going to do is cream our ingredients. So in this bowl right here, I am going to add a cup of coconut oil. And then I'm going to add a cup of butter. So that's 2 sticks. Put that in there. I've softened these to make this process a little bit easier. Then to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of white sugar. And yes, this is going to make a lot of cookies. You can cut this recipe in half if you would like, or you can do what I'm doing and double it, and then you can freeze your dough balls. You can flash freeze those, and then you can get them out when you would like some freshly baked cookies without having to go through the trouble of preparing them all over again. So that's kind of my motto when I'm cooking. I like to cook once, eat twice. So now I'm going to put in 2 cups of brown sugar. And then we're going to cream all of this together. Okay. Measure out, that's 1. I think I have enough for 2 in this bag. We'll see. These cookies are pretty forgiving, so yeah. I'm going to use just the rest of this up right here. When I first started adding this brown sugar a second ago, I realized that I had picked up the dark brown sugar, and I didn't want to use dark brown. I wanted to use light brown. So far in this bowl, I have a cup of coconut oil, a cup of butter, 2 cups of white sugar, and 2 cups of brown sugar. And then I'm going to cream this mixture together. Now to this, we're going to add 4 eggs, and we're going to mix after each one. Here's the first one. And then this is the 4th egg that I'm adding in. Didn't want y'all to have to listen to that mixer the entire time. So this is the 4th egg. You can already see my bowl is getting really full. So this is going to be a lot of cookie dough. Now I'm getting ready to add in my dry ingredients. So we're going to start with the flour. And again, I'm doubling this recipe, so it's going to take 4 cups of flour. Probably going to have to open my new, I know I'm going to have to open my new bag over there. Here we go. That's 1. Let's go ahead and open this new bag. It'll be easier. Scoop it out while I'm filming this. And I like to use the unbleached flour, organic if I can get it. 2, 3, and 4. Woo! We're getting a full bowl over here. Okay, so now we have our 4 cups of flour. And then we're going to put in a teaspoon of baking powder, and I like to use the aluminum-free baking powder, and I'm using a 1/2 of a teaspoon measuring spoon, so I am putting in That makes a teaspoon of baking powder. And then 2 teaspoons of baking soda. So it's going to take 4 of these little halves here. Okay, that's 4. And then I'm going to add in a teaspoon of salt. I'm a messy cook, so you're probably seeing stuff flying everywhere. Okay, so that's a teaspoon of salt. So that's all of the dry ingredients, and then I'm going to very carefully, without shooting this all over the kitchen, get this mixed up. Confession, don't be like me. Always start with a big enough bowl. This bowl's not going to be big enough. I forgot I have some oats to add in, and it's a lot, so this isn't going to fit. So I'll be right back. I'm going to add this to a bigger bowl. Now, to this bowl, I added in 4 cups of oats and 2 cups of butterscotch chips. That's why I needed a bigger bowl, because my other bowl was way too small and I almost forgot those ingredients. So don't be like me and use a bowl that's an appropriate size. So I made a huge mess, but I promise this recipe is worth it. So now I'm going to get this mixed up. Maybe. So this is what it looks like when it's all mixed up. I told you it's a huge amount of cookie dough. And now I'm going to bake up some and show you what it looks like. Now these are monster cookies for a reason. They're going to be about as big as my hand. You can make them smaller if you'd like, but the name of the recipe is monster cookies. So they're supposed to be like bakery cookies, the great big ones that you can buy. So I'm using my large cookie scoop, and I'm going to scoop these up, and then I'll show you what they look like finished up. I have 1 batch of cookies in the oven cooking at 350 for about 12 minutes, and I'm going to make these smaller just so that they'll freeze faster. And I'm going to do these about the size of a walnut. And then I'm going to stick them in the freezer and let them freeze up so that they don't stick together. And then I'll put them in a gallon Ziploc bag. And when we want cookies, I can just pull them out and bake them off. The smaller ones won't take as long to cook. But this will be great to have when we want fresh cookies, or we have to take cookies somewhere as a treat with our homeschool friends, or when my grandchildren are here visiting and I don't have time to bake and we want to give them a sweet treat. So as you can see, I have a huge bowl here left over of cookie dough. So I'm going to get this taken care of, and then when my batch that I'm baking comes out of the oven, I will show you what the finished product looks like. This is also a great way to work in some freezer cooking. I wound up with 2 pans of these, 68 of these regular sized cookies that I'm going to flash freeze and stock my freezer with, so that when we want them I can just pull them out. So that's one reason why I usually always double any type of recipe that I'm making, so that I can slide some extras in the freezer to pull out at my convenience. So like I said, I wound up with 68 of the regular size cookies, and my timer on my oven's getting ready to go off, so I can show you what the finished product looks like of the larger ones that are the size of my hand, that were supposed to be the monster butterscotch cookies. These are hot from the oven, and this is what they look like when they're all finished up. You can see in comparison to the palm of my hand. So these are larger. They cooked at 350. These went about 13 minutes. I'm going to let them cool for just a couple of seconds before I transfer them to my cooling rack, because they're really, really soft. But anyway, that's what they look like. And I hope you'll give this recipe a try. I'll leave the complete recipe down below in the description box. And if you try them, let me know what you think. I got 6 of the large ones, 68 of the regular sized cookies, and 6 of the large ones. And I have a little bit of dough left over, so I think I can probably get 4 out of that. And then I'm going to start working on supper, finishing that up. I have a roast in the crock pot. And then I have another cookie recipe that I think I'm going to try to get to tonight. Thanks for joining me.